वेलकम टू भारत मार्ग. डॉक्टर आदित्यनजी geopolitical expert है हमारा साथ. Okay, and thank you, Dr. Adityanjee, joining us, and appreciate it highly. You know, you know, we are going to have a very interesting discussion today, friends. BRICS, Russia, China, and India. We will discuss about that, and let's ask some questions to Dr. Adityanjee. You know, why the Five Eye, the American, the allies are in a nervous mode. इसके भी बातचीत हो जाएगा आज. खालिस्तानी के जग के लेके ये लोग क्यों जो भी नाटकबाजी कर रहे थे, क्योंकि इसका क्या जवाब मिल गया ब्रिक्स में, इसका भी मेरा सवाल होगा. और before we get started, it's a major one, friends. Okay, it's a major one. Why it is important and what is really happening, none other than Dr. Adityanjee will answer it, and it cannot get any more better. Okay, just watch out, and if you have any question, put out here. Okay, but before we get started, friends, please make sure to like the video, comment on the video, share the video with as many people as you can, and also subscribe the channel if you didn't already. And we are into many other services like Sanskrit teaching, Vedic mathematics teaching, and in many sevas, and also finding alliance for our children. Nowadays, you believe it or not, our children don't get married at all. They are not able to find the partners. Okay, this is the truth today. So that's why we want to help them with this service, and all our service is free, and we only take dan. We don't charge anything at all. So if you think you want to take advantage of any of our service, please feel free to contact us. Every post has our WhatsApp number there, and also we send out one dharmic message every day. Make sure to subscribe the channel and press the notification bell to stay connected. And if you like what we are doing, अगर आपको अच्छा लगता है हमारा सनातन का वो जो प्रचार करते हैं वो अच्छा लगता है, हमारा सेवा भाव जो अच्छा लगता है, तो हमें समर्थन करें ये वीडियो शेयर करते हुए भी, और मतलब अपना डोनेशन देते हुए भी. डोनेशन देने के लिए bharatmarg.com जाइए और वो डोनेट नाउ बटन प्रेस कीजिएगा, नहीं तो आप व्हाट्सएप में हमें संपर्क करके भी दान दे सकेंगे. ओके, डॉक्टर आदित्य जी, वेलकम. ओके, मींस this is big earthquake in America. BRICS, Russia, China, India. RCI. What's happening here in BRICS? Why America is nervous?
So it's very interesting. The BRICS summit that happened 2 days, 22nd and 23rd of October, in Kazan, Tartaristan province of Russian Federation, was unique. This was the 16th summit, and for a change, it had head of state level participation by 9 members.
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia chose to send only the foreign minister. So Saudi Arabia is just hedging its bet. If you know the history, the BRIC formulation was just emerging markets concept coined by Goldman and Sachs economist James McNeil in 2001. And the suggestion was taken by China and Russia, and we came out with BRIC, B-R-I-C, Brazil, Russia, India, and China.
Mm-hmm.
At some point in time, around 2009, there was a BRIC summit in Beijing. And what happened that Beijing unilaterally invited South Africa into this grouping. And the idea of China was to dilute the importance of India,
Mm-hmm.
and have an ally that would be beholden to China, which South Africa is, because they keep on pumping money there into the pockets of the leaders as well as in their economy. So on pretty much every issue, South Africa votes with China in BRICS. And in last meeting, it was decided to admit 5 more members. And in Kazan meeting, there are 32 countries that are lining up for membership of BRICS. So it is BRICS, not BRICKS. But BRICS summit has put a ton of bricks on G7.
Mhm.
And that's like a sarcastic comment because Western analysts have predicted that, the members of BRIC do not see eye to eye with each other.
Mhm.
They don't know what is the purpose of this grouping. By enlarging it, it is no longer emerging markets. And anyhow, uh, Russian economy is not so great. Chinese economy is going down. Brazil has its own set of problems. Africa was never a major economy. So the only economy that is shining is that of India at this point in time.
Mhm.
Why BRICS summit was so important? If you look at the optics, the ultimate winner here is Vladimir Putin,
Mhm.
highly maligned by the West for his quote unquote special military operations in Ukraine, to the extent that he could not attend a summit in South Africa a couple of years ago because of arrest warrants against him from International Criminal Court. And following those arrest warrants, Mr. Putin has scaled down his foreign travels just to avoid unpleasantness. It is not likely that any country will, quote unquote, arrest, a nuclear power head of state.
Mhm.
So this was Putin's moment of glory that on one side he has Narendra Modi, other side he has Xi Jinping. And he's basking in his glory, telling United States to go and fly kites. 32 countries are waiting in line, and you have the Secretary General of United Nations attending the meeting.
Mhm.
So what is the deliberations? What are the deliberations? It is pretty certain that BRICS will start some sort of international payment system that avoids the SWIFTs. SWIFT is the payment interbank, payment system that is controlled by G7 countries. And because they put heavy sanctions on Russia, prevented trade, BRICS has taken upon themselves to make an alternative system. They are devising an alternative system in trade of grains, sustainable development. A lot of initiatives have come out. Certainly, it is not a military alliance. It will never be a military alliance because members have different prerogatives. But on all other issues, you have an alternative platform. United Nations is pretty much defunct, it's a gone case. So you have only credible platforms for international deliberations. One of them is G20. NAM or Group of 77 has become irrelevant. Nobody even notices where their meetings are because that during Cold War era used to be a major platform for deliberations in global south countries or non-aligned countries. So that has lost its sheen, just like G7 has lost its sheen. At this point in time, the 9 or 10 BRICS countries constitute 40% of the world population and around 30%, 35% of the GDP. So it is a major grouping for which other countries are lining up, including Pakistan. Pakistan's application was outright rejected because of opposition from India. They didn't even apply. Any informal discussion by China was shot down because India said they will not allow Pakistan. Because Pakistan plays the old game in every international platform. So ultimate winner is Putin because of the optics. He's getting international publicity when he has these two world leaders on his side and 10 leaders in the photo ops. Let me just continue. The other winner is India. India can be on any platform in the world except for P5 Security Council. There is no international fora or forum whose agenda is completed without India. To the extent India is in quadrilateral security dialogue, India is in SCO, India is in BRICS, India is also in, you know, uh, Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. India is part of ISET. India is part of, North-South, International North-South Transport Corridor, which is kind of sponsored by Russia. India is on IMEC, you know, uh, India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. So there is nothing, whether it is a environmental meeting, COP26, COP27, or a security dialogue, where India's presence is not felt. And to top of it, Xi Jinping had to eat a crow in order to have a bilateral meeting with Mr. Modi, that he had to agree to disengagement of troops and restoring status quo ante that prevailed on Indo-Tibetan border prior to 2020. Because without that agreement, India would not agree for bilateral meeting on the sides of BRICS with Xi Jinping. And it is after 5 years that this bilateral meeting has happened. So in all possible ways, the optics go in favor of Putin, but behind the scenes and all, ultimate gainer is India, because India
Absolutely.
can relate to any country of the world.
Absolutely. Dr. Adityanjee, now BRICS payment system, those are all great. Now let's come to the other main important portion of the American agenda.
Yes.
Okay, the see in last 15 days, 150 flights
Hmm.
have been brought down. Okay, by fake bomb threats, which pretty much were initiated or motivated from the lands of the West. Okay,
Uh,
and creating a
countries
600
mainly,
crore
two countries
loss.
mainly, Canada and US.
Yeah, you know, and now how do they feel? Why do they feel nervous all of a sudden? There was no talk about them at all.
Look, US has its one point agenda, that is to maintain its hegemony over the entire world. And US is the deep state in US is upset with India for continuing to have trade relationships with Russia despite their sanctions on Russia. Well, India is not obligated by unilateral sanctions by a group of countries that does not have United Nations permission. So they are very upset with India. And of course, India is a rising economic power. The growth rate in GDP is 7.2%. US growth rate is 2%. The so-called Hindu rate of growth in 60s, because of which India used to be ridiculed. Now America and UK and Germany, they are showing the quote unquote 2% growth rate, or even less than 2% growth rate, the so-called Hindu rate of growth, whereas the Hindu country is showing 7.2% growth rate, the highest in the world. India's economy is rising. India has already displaced UK as the fifth largest economy in nominal dollar terms. In terms of purchasing power capacity, India is already the third largest economy after US and China. Actually, after China and US in terms of purchasing power, GDP. Ahead of India, US, China, Japan, and Germany. India is very likely to displace Japan as the next in terms of nominal GDP, followed by Germany. So by 2027, India would be the third largest economy both in terms of purchasing power as well as in terms of nominal dollar term economy. So India is a rising power, and India has a mind of its own. India exercises strategic independence, and that is not acceptable to the Western alliance because, you know, US wants everyone to be at their back and forth call, just like, whatever US says, UK does, or Japan does, or Germany does. India is not like that. India will never be a quote unquote treaty bound ally of United States because they
India
are.
is not going to be the doormat.
Yes, exactly. India has a different geography. India has different priorities. Why does US think that India should kowtow to their wishes when they keep on, supporting and arming Pakistan, India's arch enemy? And anytime that question is asked to the mandarins in the foggy bottom, i.e., the State Department officialdom, their standard answer used to be for decades. International geopolitics is not a zero sum game. We can have relationship with both Pakistan and India irrespective of their each other's concerns. Relationship with one does not mean end of relationship with the other. But on the other hand, while dealing with Russia, you want India to actually terminate all the relations with Russia and have only relations with US. That's not going to be possible.
And Dr. Adityanjee, what will happen to your friends on the left and the right of yours?
Well,
BRIC summit.
uh, one person is so beneath contempt that I'm not going to comment on him. I don't want to talk about terrorists, and
Mhm.
I don't want to glorify them. But Trudeau, I will talk. It is the end of road for Trudeau. Trudeau is being the errand boy for the United States. Not many people realize that US is firing on Trudeau's shoulders. So he
Mhm.
is doing this song and dance sequence, A, to please United States, and B, to keep his vote bank in the next election because he is certain to lose if the elections were held today. And it's not even sure whether he will last as prime minister till next elections because Liberal Party MPs are revolting against him. There
Mhm.
were two by-elections in Canada, one in Montreal, and second in St. Paul in Toronto area, in which both Liberal Party lost. More than 20 MPs have signed their signatures to a private letter, more than 20, and the number is increasing that Trudeau has to go. People don't realize that 3 years ago, on diktats of US, Trudeau arrested the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of Huawei, ostensibly for breaking United States-led financial sanctions on Iran. What happened? That lady, the daughter of the owner of Huawei, was arrested in, I think, Vancouver or something like that. She was kept in prison or house arrest or combination thereof for 3 years. Some case was going on. How did China respond? China arrested a number of Canadian businessmen and put them in prison.
Right.
And ultimately, what was the outcome? They had to let her go, withdraw the case, and only when that happened, Canadian businessmen were released. So Canada is the basically sort of proxy for United States. So United States deep state plays games. All superpowers play games, and games are being played. But Trudeau is caught because his own credibility has been totally demolished. Very recently, their deputy national security advisor, intelligence chief, leaked some intelligence information to Washington Post, in which they implicated Amit Shah as well as Ajit Doval being involved, kind of thing, whatever. So there is some criticism of Trudeau because that information was leaked by a Liberal Party MP, and guns are out for Trudeau in Canada. That you know it very well from all sections of the society. The crime is high. This guy is a gone case. But to top it, one of the officers of Canadian Border Protection Agency, I think his name is Sandeep Singh Sidhu, he has been implicated by India in murder of a Shaurya Chakra awardee in 2020, who was a school teacher and was, you know, dealing with terrorists. Apparently, Sandeep Singh Sidhu, in cahoots with an ISI agent who is based in Pakistan, Lakhvir Singh Rode, planned the killing of this man, Balbir Singh, something like that. So India has come out with open allegations, and they had to admit that they promoted this guy to position of superintendent. So they have to eat a crow now, and it is pathetic situation. He keeps on threatening, oh, I'll go to G7 and put financial sanctions on India. I'll go to Five countries and put sanctions on India. Do whatever you want to do. You have no spine, you have no leverage. India has already cancelled the Striker heavy armored vehicle deal with Canada. The bilateral trade between two countries is $8 billion. Indian economy is three times, or two and a half times that of Canada. India is a very resilient country. Ultimately, the loss would be Canada's. Indian students have already stopped coming to Canada except for those from state of Punjab. The economy is so bad that 3,000 Indian students were lining up for dishwashing jobs in a restaurant. So Canada is not going to get the money that it used to get from Indian students by their fees and lodging and boarding and all those kind of.
And also tremendous number of visitors and tourists coming from India.
That all will decline significantly because of decrease in number of the consulate staff. With both countries expelling six of each of their diplomats, the high commissions and the consular offices will not, function with full capacity. So tourism dollars will also go down. So ultimate loser would be Canada and Trudeau. No questions about it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for coming and sharing. One last question on BRICS, Dr. Adityanjee. Now, Modi ji is promoting Rupee payment
Yeah.
and the payment gateway. Now, what do you think? This could be an alternative for SWIFT from America. What other great things we can like international the interfaces of India? What can be used?
So I'll dwell a little bit in more detail. In 1947, rupee was a legal tender in almost 40 countries in Asia and West Asia. In countries like Singapore and Malaysia, or Malaya, the former Malaya, and in so-called Middle Eastern country or West Asian countries, rupee was a legal tender. Rupee to dollar conversion was 1:1 in 1947. With independence and wrong policies of India's rulers, rupee declined, the economy nosedived, and all that sort of thing. Now, Indian economy is on resurgence. Not only the Rupee, but also that UPI interface that India uses for interbank transfers is being accepted in a number of countries. So, dollar will still remain an international currency, there is no doubt about it. But if you see the RIC countries, Russia, India, and China, all three, their central banks have reduced their holdings of US Treasury bonds to de-risk from US Treasury, and they have started buying a lot of gold. So all these countries have huge reserves of gold in their central banks. Whether there will be a BRICS currency or cryptocurrency is a moot point, but the financial institutions, new financial institutions are emerging. My guess is that the BRICS sponsored NDB, New Development Bank, will become in future as strong as IMF. It's not there yet, but the post World War II Bretton Woods institutions, financial institutions, are losing their sheen because of corruption, because of monopoly, and all that sort of thing. India is not in a game to displace dollar just like China is. They want to displace dollar with yuan, but all India wants is ability to trade in regional currencies with our trading partners, bypassing dollar so that extra costs are not added to the trade. And I think that is in benefit of India and our trading partners, whether that is Russia, whether that is UAE. We already do, UAE dinar rupee trade, or with, for that matter, with Iran or Singapore or Abu Dhabi or, you know, all that kind of thing. So United States shot itself in foot by sanctioning Russia, thereby forcing Russia's trade with India in other currencies. India uses a basket of currencies to trade with with Russia. The banks had to take extra risk, and developing these alternate interbank international transfer mechanisms will help India boost its trade. And of course, it makes you immune from the unjust, whimsical, unilateral sanctions by G7 countries that monopolize the SWIFT system.
And so now the Rupee could be implemented in BRICS countries. What do you think? Rupee and the other mobile interface where the
These are
payment
going to be bilateral decisions between India and a particular country because BRICS has not come to BRICS is only deliberating. And anywhere where China comes, China will push for its own thing. But India is increasingly having bilateral arrangements with various countries where rupee is being accepted, Rupee card is being accepted, and UPI interbank transfer interface is being accepted as a mechanism for payments. So, in all these respects, Indian rupee is becoming, if not global, definitely a regional currency. And that is a good thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Visa and Mastercard have last time complained that India against India's Rupee card. How bigger effect it will bring on American economy in terms of the
Well,
Rupee UPI?
previously, Visa and MasterCard had monopoly. And once their monopoly is challenged, you know, uh, whenever a privileged position is threatened, they are going to make some noise. So let them make noise. The reality does not change. Why should India continue to be beholden to MasterCard and Visa that charge 3.5% on each transaction? This raises the cost of trade. So if you use the UPI or Rupee, credit system, you will be avoiding all these costs to the business. They can
Absolutely.
continue to complain, but the situation is that at this point in time, West need India more than India needs West.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. It was an incredible time talking to you, Dr. Adityanjee. And I'm thinking in my mind, BRICS is a major success, and it made the West very nervous. I hope you agree with me on that. And what do you say? with what Dr. Adityanjee said. Do you agree, disagree? Do comment and let us know if you have any questions put out there. And certainly, the time has come for India to rise as a major power, which it is happening under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. Okay, thank you, Dr. Adityanjee, and looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Till then, Jai Sri Ram, Jai Jai Sri Ram.